Here's a cool one for you people that enjoy Patched Up as much as I do. I was actually chatting to the Chronos, the New Dawn developers this week or the week before, and I said in my last episode, didn't I? I'm sure they don't watch it, and he was like, we do watch it. So that's very cool. There are devs out there that are actively trying to improve their games, very often based on the feedback of videos like this, but mainly your comments down below as well. So yeah, nice one. Alright, it's that time again, and my goodness, they've released so many patches for so many different games, some that I've never spoken about as well. This has been a delightful episode to make. We've got things like Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion, Bullpit X, which is possibly one of the best games I've played in ages. Thank you to that person who kept badgering me in the comments to give it a go. Yes, there will be a full review. Trails in the Sky, which as we know was on Nintendo Switch 1 and 2, and a few others. It depends how much I get done, really. If you enjoy this content, do let me know down in the comments. Also, give me some ideas for other games that need to be revisited. I know someone's saying Star Wars had a new patch. It's in this episode, it has to be. So what games have been all patched up on Switch 1 and 2? Well, my name is Mark Walker, welcome back to Switch Up. Now let's find out. Now, the latest update for Titanic Scion doesn't necessarily affect the performance too much. It's more about the amount of stuff they've added in. Now, you may know that in the last patch, they added gyroscopic controls, and yes, I know someone is typing, never before has a man loved gyro as much as Mark Walker, and you are probably right, but they did add that in, and it was very good. It's good for those manual aiming of weapons like the minigun. But this latest update adds in two entirely new boss fights, the Lapis Lacrima RT and the Sybil RT. They added a function in to edit appearance so you can turn off those visible mutations once you unlock fusion. A number of bug fixes have been added, but there's nothing specifically mentioning performance. But we've got to have a look, haven't we? So firstly, let's take a look at the performance as it was before. As you can see, after that last patch, it was roughly the same. It wasn't great. It still had those big hitches and stutters during any section where you're flying quickly across an area. And when we look at the latest version, it still has some stutters, doesn't it? Do you see any improvement? Well, I'll leave that up to you. So there it is. That's Daemon X Machina Titanic Scion patch 1.1.1. Here are my final thoughts. The thing with all patched up is it's almost become a community event. I'll receive emails from people and they're helping me because, let's be realistic, I'm not a game developer. I'm someone that played PC their whole life, so I got quite nerdy, used to build my own rigs and spend more time than I care to mention tweaking graphics settings. But there is a load that I need to learn, and there's always new stuff as well. So when I receive emails like the one that I did, going through the changes that the person's noticed on Star Wars, it's really handy. In the previous update, we saw some big improvements to distant texture quality on the mountains. Performance overall was generally quite good. We were looking at 30 frames per second, locked out for most of the experience, and as we know, this is a proprietary engine that featured ray tracing. I believe one of the first iterations of ray tracing that we've seen on Switch 2, but this did have a few little visual anomalies and quirks to it. So a shout out to Roman, who has helped me come up with this section for the new updated version 1.0.6, which is the third title update. The first thing we've both noticed, and probably the one you will as well, is that it's sharper than it was before. The upscaling looks sharper across the board, and Roman speculated that this could possibly be the long-awaited DLSS update that we've been hearing about. It means the image quality is cleaner across the board, which is surprising because it already looked so good. It loses a lot of that soft, blurry look. Texture streaming has seen improvements, as has the loading between cutscenes, and fast travel is a little bit faster. So the biggest improvement noted by Roman was actually on the ray tracing noise. You would get some very strange light streaks, and they are now completely gone. He even sent me a little clip. It looks like it's recorded directly on the Switch, so the quality's not great, but you can get some idea, I believe, of what he's talking about here. It's not all good news though. Frame drops and frame pacing in general do potentially seem ever so slightly worse in certain areas. Now, it's by no means bad, and we will take a look at frame rates so that you can be a judge for yourself, but perhaps some of these things have come at a slight cost. Still, the improved image quality is a real win. So here are our final thoughts on this update. If you've not played Ball Pit X from Devolver Digital, my goodness, you are missing out. You know, it really reminds me of the first time that I played Vampire Survivors. There was a moment where I kind of thought, yeah, this is okay. You know, it feels like some of the classics of the genre remade into a roguelike. But then there is a moment that seems to happen about an hour or two later where you realize you can't stop playing it, and that the loop they've designed is actually so skill-based and so enjoyable that you just want to play more and more of it. Now, although it's a Switch 1 version, there have been some frame drops with the base build. It's 60 frames per second target, and it targets Switch 1 resolutions, but they've just announced a big update that will not only improve the Switch version, it's also going to improve Switch 2 so that the frame rate can reach 90 FPS, which is obviously the handheld screen refresh rate. It will look smoother, even if marginally. As well as that, you'll notice a bump in resolution. Yeah, it's nice to get that update so quickly. Hopefully this means that Nintendo are really starting to push out dev kits, or they're doing the hell for leather approach and just unlocking stuff and praying, but I very much doubt that. So here's what you can look forward to. Next up, we've got Trails in the Sky, which is probably my favorite Trails game. I've absolutely loved it. This is the first chapter, obviously, of a couple, but they've nailed it. It has that nice hybrid gameplay, the mixture of real-time combat with the turn-based that you can switch to, but performance wasn't great. I was quite disappointed, actually. It wasn't terrible. Well, I say that. Switch 1 performance was pretty damn poor, and then Switch 2 was trying to get close to 60 frames per second, but it was all over the shop. As well as that, low transitions were a little too long, whichever version you're on. So then we have version 1.0.5, which actually adds some big things. Firstly, you've got first person mode, but chiefly you've also now got a performance or quality toggle. So if you want to target 60 frames per second with a slightly lower resolution, you can do that. That is on the Switch 2 edition though. The performance for Switch 1, we'll have to have a look at frame rates to see how that's changed. Now, if you want to enter first person mode on Switch, you need to press R and ZL at the same time, and I believe R and ZR will hide the UI. Other things added are a distance setting, so you can have camera distance changed. There are a couple of typos that have been fixed. I didn't mention those actually in my my initial performance review, but yeah, there were some absolutely glaring errors, and they've fixed some other bugs as well. So we'll look at all of those modes together, give you a good idea on Switch 1 and Switch 2. And so here's the conclusion for that game. Now, as I mentioned at the start, there are other games that have had patches, things like Discounty, Chronos, No Man's Sky. I'll be looking at Pokemon when it gets its new update. Plants vs. Zombies Replanted needs a little update to fix a few things. Yooka-Replayley had another update actually, and a few more on Switch 1 as well. So yeah, there's a video's worth or two already made. Let me know down in the comments if you've seen any more patches that I've missed. And as always, just a massive thanks for watching and leaving your comments. If you want to save yourself 5% on your eShop credit or on physicals over at PlayAsia, we got links to all of that down in the description. Special thanks to our members as well. And as always, for all things Switch, all the time, keep it Switch up. Cheers guys, see ya.